There's not going to be any issues. Oh, well, it looks like,
But he did, he goes out.
yeah, I must have bumped it or. A little late, but better late than never. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Will County Board Executive Committee meeting to order at 10:35 a.m. And can I have Marcy, would you like to lead us in the pledge this morning? The United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Marcy. Can we have a roll call, Sandy, please?
I need to be green. Richmond? Butler? Dean Schlattman? Freeman? Hickey? Logan? Newquist? Ortiz? Pretzel? Trinier? Williams? Van Dyne?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the approval of minutes, pardon? There are no minutes? Okay. Yeah, the short time that I've been in this position, I've noticed that Minute Tracks that does our agenda has been giving us quite some hassle. So we do not have minutes to approve, but it'll be on next month's agenda. No big deal on that. Old business, is there any old business to be brought forward this morning? Seeing none. Okay, moving on to new business, starting with number 1, authorizing the county executive to execute an IGA with Lamont Fire Protection District to provide access to the countywide radio system. Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Richmond? Butler? Dean Schlattman? Freeman? Hickey? Logan? Newquist?
Yes.
Ortiz? Pretzel?
Yes.
Trinier? Williams? Van Dyne?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 2, amending the Liquor Control Ordinance, Chapter 110, Code of Ordinances regarding increase in Class C1 license. And I will not be able to pronounce these names, and I don't want to offend these people. So it's requested by Saint Anne Oil Corporation located at 1601 New Lenox Road, Joliet, Illinois. Motion and a second discussion. I see Member Trinier.
Yes, there's 4 on here. Has there something happened recently? That all of a sudden we're getting like this big request for liquor ordinance? Because I'm wondering if this has something to do with video gaming, that you got to have a liquor license to get the video gaming or something. So I just was curious. We don't normally have 4 in 1 month.
There you go.
Hi, my name's Allie Harms. I'm going to be taking over for Colette Stafford. Thank you for your question. I think we've just had an increase in that specific class licenses. And so per our code, we have a limit for C1s, and it's just a more common liquor class type.
Can you please, just for everybody's edification, maybe not just mine, explain a C1?
Sure. So the C1 is the package liquor licenses. And those are where it's not for consumption at the premises.
Okay,
So they
like a
would
gas station.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Trenier. Mr. Pretzel?
Yeah, I believe this one, this is a comment, not a question, is the beer cave that we voted on, right? Is that, so land use liked this. I think we even voted on it as a full board,
That's correct.
and they just had to, they're on hold to do what they want to do until they get this liquor license.
That is correct.
And then I had a question too. So C1 is packaged liquor, like boxes of beer and things.
Yes.
What is A1?
A1 is packaged at the premises, and those would likely be for consumption on site. Yeah, and where entertainment is happening as well. Sorry, 1 second.
You need an A1 for a video game.
Yes, that's correct. Does that answer your
Yes,
question?
thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Butler?
Vince said, I was asking a question and Vince said something, I just want to double check. So to address Jackie, in order to get a gaming license, you need to have a pouring, like, is that A1? Is that what you said? Okay.
Can you confirm that, Ally?
Sorry, I'm just reading
Yeah.
the code section right now. So it's under 110.020 under the license classifications. So Class A1 authorizes the sale on premises and enclosed building of alcoholic liquor for consumption in the premises, and authorizes the sale of alcoholic liquor in the original packaging, not for consumption on the premises. And it also permits entertainment on site as well.
Okay. Any other question? Ms. Trenier?
Yep, just to follow up, I know this started during COVID, where they mix a drink, package it, and deliver it to your home
Sure.
when you pick up an order of food at a restaurant or whatever. Is that an A1, a C1, or some other animal?
It would not be C1. C1 is packaged where they're not consuming it on site and they're not pouring it at all. It definitely wouldn't be C1.
Or maybe we don't even have this license in Will County? I don't,
I could look into that for you
Okay.
and get you an answer on that at a later date. I
Yeah.
don't have that answer for you.
yeah, because I
right now.
still order food from Dwell Social. It's food that comes from Chicago's
Sure.
nicer restaurants or restaurants I don't want to drive to. And they frequently give you the option, you can get sangria with it or, you know, certain margaritas, things like that. And obviously they're mixing it on site, but they're sending it out of the building. So I didn't know, we don't have
Yeah,
anything
I-
like that?
I don't believe we have that currently. But like I said, I could look into that for you and get you an answer on that next.
Yeah, I'm just, maybe there's never been a request. I'm just curious. That was all. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments on item number 2? I believe we do have a motion and a second. Previous? Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion will carry. Number 3, amending Liquor Control Ordinance, Chapter 110, Code of Ordinances, requesting that 110.023 of the liquor ordinance be amended to increase the total number of available Class AG liquor licenses. Richland and Deborah Stradlowski at Misty Hill Vineyard. And that is located at 36,921 Old Luz Road. I hope I said that right. Custer Park. Looking for a motion. Thank you. Motion and a second.
Second, Freeman.
Thank you. We open up for discussion.
I just wanted to mention to folks, this was the winery that we went to on the Farm Bureau tour, if you didn't recall the name. So, and they had mentioned that they were going to be trying to get a license. So thank you.
Correct, yep. Mhm. Any other, Mr. Butler?
Yeah, and I also want to say this is the same area where the solar company pulled out of that 3,600 acres of land down there, which this land that this vineyard's on is unique in that the soil is sandy and it drains and it's good for specialty crops. So I would love to see this business thrive and maybe some other businesses come in and use that same land.
Thank you for your comment. Any others? I believe we do have a previous and a second, so all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion will carry. Number 4, amending liquor control ordinance, chapter 110, Code of Ordinances, requesting that 110.023, the liquor ordinance, be amended to increase the total number of available Class A1 liquor licenses. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion will carry. Number 5, I believe the executive's office would like to have this removed. And
Yes.
the reason being, you would like to review the total number of liquor licenses in this category?
Yep, that's correct. Thank you.
Okay. What do we do about removing this item? Mr. Kevin? Okay. Thank you. Second, previous, Richmond? Second, Dean Schlotman. Any discussion on removal? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion will carry. Number 6, amending the county board rules regarding the reading of public comment letters. This, I'm sure. Okay, great. Motion and second. I will open this up to discussion and then we can maybe possibly go to previous rule. Is there any discussion? Mr. Butler?
So are you talking about removing them altogether?
The plan here, if we read the resolution, basically, we're not trying to stifle anybody's ability to reach out to the board members. It's just a time-saving factor for the board members, the staff here and present, and also the individuals that come to our meetings. They usually have to wait and listen to all the comments being read. And I know, in the past and in the very near future, we've had a lot of emails sent in. And for the sake of time, we're looking just to have staff forward these emails to the board members so they can read at their leisure and be more efficient with our county board, our time.
Okay.
That's my best
I hear
explanation
you.
on that.
Believe me, I understand all the arguments that, to limit these things because of the time and in some cases, there's definitely been abuse, especially where there's chain letters that are the exact same words for 160 letters that are about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes long. So I get it, but I'm very nervous about, reducing the people's ability to express themselves. So I'm going to tell you that I know I'm in a minority on this, but I just, on principle, I'm going to have to say no if it eliminates. But if there's any amendments that would maybe put some more restrictions to limit the amount of time, I would be in favor of that.
Understood. Let's go to Mr. Richmond.
So this was put in due to COVID, and COVID is long gone. I think all we're looking to do is go back to business as usual. People are more than welcome to come here and talk. They're more than welcome to email. And I know we've already got a commitment from the chair and from staff that we'll all receive any emails that come in. We can read them at our own leisure and that. So we will hear from everybody. I think what we're looking to do is just, get beyond COVID, which is 5 years in the rearview mirror. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's go with Member Bullock and then Member Hickey.
Is it my understanding that, do these public comments that are sent through email get added to the packet so that public can see the public comments from each meeting?
Mr. Pelkey?
What we would do is we would add these to the packet or to the agenda under the public comment section, not under the public hearing section, because the public hearing section, according to the state's attorney's office, has to have an opportunity to be rebutted. So these would be added to the county board packet under the public comment section, which is your first public comment, first opportunity to comment publicly in the on the agenda.
Wait, can I have a follow-up?
Sure.
Um, I- Yes, you're gonna put them into public comment, but if they are related to, let's say, a land use issue, they are not gonna be put in public comment, they would still be read?
They would not be read. This this amendment would not require that all these comments would be read into the record. They would be presented into the packet. They would be placed into the packet for any county board member to read or for any member of the public to read.
But public hearing being different than public comment?
The public hearing is what occurs under the land use section of the agenda. And that is, the letters, according to the state's attorney's office, the letters can't be read into the public hearing section of the agenda. The petitioner has to be present so that the applicant has an opportunity to rebut any comments that that petitioner may make. Or that member of the public may make.
Okay, thank you.
Member Hickey?
Thank you. I would like to offer an amendment that adds that we speak the number of total emails into the record, not the emails themselves, but just the number. I know it's impossible to categorize some of them as to whether they're pro or against an issue, but I think that it's just good for the public to be able to hear how many people have responded. And it's, you know, our responsibility to read those and know what they say. So that would be my.
Okay, there's a motion to amend.
Second.
And second, any discussion on the amendment?
Yes.
Mr. Butler?
So I would like to recommend, I would ask for a friendly amendment, which would be not just the number, but I would like to know, at least list this many pros, this many cons. I think that's important for people to know. And as long as it's, all of the emails are put into the packet, at least people know the number. If they see an outcry of support for something, they may be interested enough to read those on their own. So, you know, they can get that information. So I would ask that you do amend and include pros and cons.
Okay, we're going to focus on Member Hickey's amendment first.
That is her amendment.
Yeah, correct.
I have read a lot of the emails, and I have to say there are some that I'm not entirely sure what their stance is. So I would not want to leave that, and that's not to belittle anything. And I know we mentioned something about form letters. It's daunting if you're a member of the general public to reach out to any unit of government. So I appreciate any form that people take, but there are some times when I'm not entirely sure which way they're going with it. So I would hate for the clerk to have to characterize the email as for or against. And if the public hears that there are 136 emails on this topic, then they can go back and look and see what they think.
All right. I do have a list of members that wishing to speak, so let's just stick to the amendment first, and then we'll go back to the actual resolution. So any comments on the amendment? Mr. Pretzel?
I feel like we just need to rip the Band-Aid off of this thing. I know change is hard. I know that this is what we're all used to here, but this isn't how it works anywhere else. If you go to your village board meeting, if you go to the House floor for Illinois, Senate floor for Illinois, you go to the US congressional meetings, they're not reading all the emails onto the record. You have the opportunity to come and speak if you want your voice heard, or you can send your email in, and hopefully you all open your emails and read them and respond to them when you feel it's appropriate. We don't need to be burdening our staff with reading these emails. We don't need to keep a tally mark of it. We're all adults here. If it's in the packet, the public has an opportunity to read those emails. We have an opportunity to read those emails. I don't think we need to even address it in any other way. We're only even talking about this because we've become used to doing it that way because of COVID. We should have ripped the Band-Aid off of it 4 or 5 years ago. This has gotten out of control. We now have board members that they think they're doing a better job than anyone else. If they can get more people to write an email to this board. And it's tying up hours and hours and hours of staff time, of our time. The poor ladies and gentlemen up there are forced to read these things. It's gotten out of control. And now we're afraid to like reel it back. But it never used to be that way. They have their way to come here and talk or email us. We do not need to be reading these into the record. And we certainly don't need somebody making tally marks and telling us how many emails we got. So for those reasons, I don't support the amendment. I don't support continuing to read these emails.
All right, thank you. Mr. Neer.
Thank you, Chair Van Dyne. I am more than happy to just get them in my packet. If the staff wants to verbally say how many we've received, I can be okay with that. 16 years on this board, I never had to listen to emails being read until COVID. And it has truly gotten out of hand, as Member Pretzel has just stated. My only question was, I would prefer to receive them as they come in, rather than just receive them when my agenda arrives as an attachment to my agenda. Because if there really are 100 of them, like we've seen in the past, or 300, I like to read them as they come in. I don't know if that's something that we can continue to do, because we have been getting them that way. And I would like to see that part continue. I understand you still have to compile them and show them as an attachment, but I like to see them as they come in. And then just lastly, to add on to that, for those of you that haven't been around for 16 years, we were advised by a state's attorney not to respond to the individual letters. And I don't remember all the exact reasons, and maybe our state's attorney today can speak to that, but we were advised not to respond to them. So, and it may have been that we were advised not to respond because it was one of those emails where they had listed every board member on the same email and you would be violating Open Meetings Act. I just know that I'm very careful in the opportunities that I've had, whether or not I want to respond. Very, very specific sometimes if they're asking me a question, but otherwise I just tend to let it go after I read it. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Ortiz, you're late. Okay. Member Freeman?
So, there's so many things right now in my head. Let me walk them through 'em. First, I'm perfectly okay at this point going with adding emails to the agenda. I also agree with Jackie Trainier. The number being, we have 14 emails this month. I think that's fine. To separate them, I think it would be, we would have 14 yeses, we have 16 no's on this subject, we have 2 yeses on this subject, we have 1 on this. Because when they provide us with comments, it's not always about the same topic. So to try to break them through who yeses and no's and maybes, and I think we would be spending a lot of time trying to just decipher the emails. So I don't think we need to break it down. If we do say we have 14 emails submitted, I think that's sufficient. And I think that this will work. That's all.
Member Ogala?
Thank you. So I like Member Hickey's suggestion for letting us know how many we have. Most of the time, they are specific to 1 or 2 cases that are being heard most of the time. On a rare occasion, you have a bunch, but most of the time they are. I think it would be good to know that we had 17 people who wrote in opposition and 3 in support of whatever it is we're talking about. That's kind of good because as Member Hickey mentioned, it does let the public know that we also received emails regarding this, whatever topic it is that they're discussing. And we would know that 17 support, let's say 17 support the quarry and 172 are opposed to it. We would have that information. It would be out there. And it would not be as time consuming as staff sitting here through listening to everybody read it out loud. So I would support that.
All right. Has everyone made their comments? I would just, Sherry, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Member Newquist.
That's okay. When I was at first thinking it was a really good idea to categorize the emails as, you know, support and con. But then when I thought about it more, we don't categorize the comments that people make in person. We don't, when we, you know, have our minutes, we don't summarize and say, we had 50 people here and 40 of them were for and 10 of them were against. So why would we do that for email if we don't do it for our speakers? And I do think it puts too much of a burden on staff. I love the idea, but I don't think it's practical. Thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe I can just jump in and give my opinion. I respect your amendment, Member Hickey. I think as a board member, our job is to read the emails from our constituents, and I think we can keep it in our own head on how many are for and how many are against it. I don't see a reason why we need to let the public know how many we have received. But if it's the will of the committee, I could go either way. So that's my comments. Let me jump to Vince, and then I'll go to.
Can I clarify, please?
Yes.
Chair?
Oh, yeah.
I did not want to characterize the emails. That was a friendly amendment that was offered and I rejected it.
Right.
So my amendment stands as reading into the record how many emails in total have been received.
That's
Just wanted to
correct.
Thank
You know,
you. I'm
yeah, I
sorry.
am aware of that amendment, but thank you for the, yeah. Let's, Vince has not had a chance, and then I'll go to Frankie.
Cool. Yeah,
Vince?
really quickly, so the emails, we're talking about the ones that are submitted through public comment on the website, correct? You can put a tick that says oppose or for, and they could check either for or against, so that you wouldn't have to actually read the email, you just see how many are for and against. The state does it that way.
Okay, good advice. Yeah, it's just something that we may be able to add on the website. All right. Frankie, do you have another comment? Yes, sir.
So I know this board, and I'm very confident that if we have one of these issues that came up, one of these board members would let us know how many emails they received and how many were opposed and how many were against. So this is just unnecessary work for our staff. So I will not be supporting this.
Okay. Ms. Ogala, anything else to add?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to comment that the difference with somebody coming here and speaking during public comment, that is in the WebEx, and so people would know if you're watching the WebEx that 6 people were speaking for it and 6 were against it. They would know that. If they hear we have 172 emails, they do not know what the public thinks. So let's say that you have people coming here to the executive committee and giving public comment, or to land use committee or finance committee. You wouldn't know that if you don't tune in to the meeting and watch it on WebEx. If you only pay attention to the county board meeting, which a lot of public only does pay attention to county board meeting, then you would not know these other situations occurred. So again, I think that Kelly has a great idea, and that makes sense to me, and it doesn't take up that much time. Staff can do it. If staff was sitting here reading and we were all sitting here, that was a waste of time because everyone was doing it. If you split up the emails among staff, everyone does less work.
All right. Thank you for everyone's input. So we do have an amendment to adding the total number of emails that were sent.
Can I just read a wording for that?
Sure.
So
Yeah, so we're all clear?
Yeah, so Member Hickey, please let me know if this summarizes your amendment correctly. The county clerk will announce a total number of written comments received on a specific issue. Is that accurate? No? So the county clerk will announce a total number of written comments received. Period. Okay.
Number received. Okay. I'd like to ask for a roll. On the amendment.
Richmond. Butler. Dean Schlattman. Freeman. Hickey.
Logan, Newquist, Ortiz, Pretzel,
No.
Trinier, Williams, Van Dyne.
It could end up in a tie. I'm going to say no. I don't want a tie. All right, back to the original resolution. That was not recognized. All right, back to the original resolution. Any comments or questions, Ms.
Can you
Ortiz?
tell me the vote for that? Just, did it pass? Did it fail?
Oh, I'm sorry. There was, according to my calculation, it was 7 no and 5 yes. Motion fails. Thank you for the reminder. Am I correct, Sandy?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Back to the original resolution. Any comments? I think we pretty much covered it.
I just have a question.
Oh,
sorry.
let me go to Member Ortiz and then Mr. Butler.
Thank you, Chair Van Dyne. I am not going to be in favor of passing this amendment to our county board rules regarding the reading of public comments. I do believe that it is, in a sense, stifling some of our public comments who do want to be read, who might not be able to make it for, whatever circumstances. Their scheduling doesn't work, they have children, and so on and so forth. They have other obligations to take forward. I do like that they have an avenue, and I do want them to be read because I know for myself as a board member, there have been a number of times where I've reached out to other board members via email, and so many times I never get a response. I go up to them, I ask them about it. They're, oh, I'm sorry, I haven't opened my iPad for a few weeks and I didn't see your email. So I would just like this to be read into the record so that we are actually hearing all of the people who are writing in, making sure that everybody's voice gets heard. And I do think that this timing is just not, for me, it's just not it. I know we had a previous amendment to our board rules regarding chain letters after the Sanctuary County resolution tried to be passed. And we had a number of people write in, hundreds of people write in with the same letter. And right after that, we passed that amendment to not read the chain letters. And now we're doing it again when we know we have hundreds of emails that are set to be read into the record regarding our quarry blasting that's going to be across the street from neighborhood schools and many people who want to have their voice heard. So I don't want to support this because I think the timing is bad. I feel like we are silencing some of these people's voices and we're not going to hear them out right away. We're really just counting on us actually doing the job. And we know that people, quite frankly, on this board sometimes don't do their job. They do not read their emails. And that is my wholehearted opinion, as my experience has been as a member on this board. So that is why I will be voting no.
Thank you. Mr. Butler?
Yeah, so I agree with pretty much everything she said. I understand the argument for reducing the amount of time because I do believe in past cases, especially with the chain mail, emails, that it was maybe not reflective of how the people may have felt earnestly, that they might have been able to have been given information that was misleading and all they had to do is sign their name to a lengthy statement and it took hours. It was almost criminal. But for especially, I just wanted to reiterate, there are people who can't make it here, who, are elderly, who do participate, who may be sick and they want their voices heard and in public. And I know that when I listen to people and even when I've listened to some of the letters, that I didn't have to hear 140 times, some of the other letters, that it did have an impact on me. And sometimes we have to stop and think about how their people feel. So I get it. We need to do something. But stopping it all together it's too much. It's too far. We need to come up and maybe a little bit more, think about it a little bit more and find a compromise. I definitely think at least letting the people know, hey, if you get 160 emails on a specific topic that's coming before the board, they're all against this subject. Well, I think that's significant for people to know.
Thank you. Any new comments that has not been said? Mr. Pretzel?
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, there's a lot of talk about government efficiency right now at the national level. If you just hone that down to what we do on the county board, there's a dozen staffers in this room right now listening to us again talk about emails. At the last meeting, there was more than a dozen at the Forest Preserve earlier today. When we get to the full county, it goes up by quite a bit because instead of having one staff from land use, we'll have 5 or 6. We'll have Public Works and Transportation, somebody here from the clerks, the health department, the sheriff. They're sitting here listening to sometimes hours of redundant emails. It's not their job to listen to those. They have a lot of other stuff that they have to do. And when they leave the meeting, they have to go finish their daily work. But we're making them sit here through hours, countless hours, week after week, month after month. If you add it up, I mean, it's probably an extra, maybe a week of work a year that we take away from them that we're still paying them to do. It's super inefficient. You, as a member of the public, have the opportunity to come here and speak, and you still, we're not trying to take anything away, have the opportunity to send an email to the full board, to your board member, to the county executive, whoever you want to send it to. And then it's up to you, me, all of us, to read those emails. We do not need to have them read into public record. It is a waste of so many people's time. It's so inefficient, and it's actually counterproductive because what you're really doing is you have certain board members that are out there saying, you know, this is really going to help my case. The more emails I can get, the more it's going to help my case. Some of these people don't even live in Mill County. And you have husband, wife, children all signing up to send the same email. It's inefficient. We need to rip the Band-Aid off of this. Every other branch of government still accepts emails, or you have the opportunity to go speak during public comment. We don't need to do both. We don't need to be reading emails into public comment. It's a waste of so many people's time. It's super inefficient. And I hope that we can get this over the finish line.
I tend to agree. That's why I wrote the resolution. Any new comments, Mr. Richmond? Anything new to add?
Let's just go back to pre-COVID.
Okay.
That's all we're asking.
Member Freeman?
So I know there's been a lot of talk about separating the emails and announcing how many of the emails go back to for or against. And I'm going to say, I don't feel that it is any staff's job to read all of the constituents' concerns. It's our job to read these concerns. And if there's a board member that you know that is not reading their emails or just simply doesn't care to open their emails, then that's when elections occur. Let the people know that they're not being read. But for any staff member to have to sit, we're back to Pretzel's, remember Pretzel's comment about government efficiency? We're asking, some of us are asking staff to sit and read the hundreds of emails, separate the emails, and then us read them. And I think that is not their job. Their job is to do the minutes, to keep the office running efficiently. And I think I'm going to have to agree with Jim, and let's just get rid of them and put them on the agenda and let the board members do their job.
Okay. Thank you for that. End of discussion. I would like to ask for a roll.
Richmond.
Yes, amending the county board rules regarding the reading of public comment letters.
You're yes. Okay. Butler. Dean Schlappman. Freeman. Hickey. Logan. Newquist. Ortiz. Pretzel. Trenier. Williams. Van Dyne.
Yes.
10 in the affirmative and 1, 2, no.
10 versus 2, the motion carries. All right, Mr. Pelkey, would you like to jump in on number 7, please?
Sure, actually, this would cover number 7, number 8, and number 9. Again, staff and, and the speaker had all great intentions of being able to move a lot of these items forward from Tuesday's ad hoc committee meetings to get them on today's agenda. And please be aware that today's agenda already had been posted by the time that those ad hoc meetings actually were convened. So we were not able to put these on to today's executive committee agenda meeting. Our intent is to put them on to next month's executive committee agenda. So.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Neer?
Yeah, I get number 7 because the two chapters that we voted to bring forward, one of them isn't even listed here. Maybe both aren't listed here. But number 8, I thought we approved in our meeting. And so I don't understand why we would want to skip that one now. Yeah, because I mean, that was the fastest meeting in history. I think it was 2 minutes. And we did take the vote. And number 9, we did make an amendment to those final recommendations that were brought forward, and that was accepted, I think, unanimously by the committee. So 8 and 9, I don't understand why the delay. I get 7 totally. So maybe Mr. Pelkey, you could explain to me why?
I think he tried by stating that the executive agenda was already posted before. You want to elaborate?
Yeah, so we left these as placeholder spaces. You're correct that these items were voted upon. The problem was we couldn't get the attachments, and then also we couldn't get the attachments on and approved by Tuesday, on Tuesday to get them on today's agenda. And then also too, with regard to, for example, the ad hoc access committee meeting, we weren't sure what format that should actually take or how we should format that. And the same thing with the ad hoc old courthouse committee meeting. Should that have been a resolution? Should it have been a recommendation? Again, we hadn't had an opportunity to do that and to get it formatted for today's meeting.
So I guess my follow-up question is, so you're telling me the agenda I'm looking at right now was not what was given to the public?
No, this agenda is posted online right now, the executive committee agenda.
It says on number 8, we're going to make a recommendation. And on number 9, we're going to make a recommendation. I can't tell you the number of times that this board has voted on something that was passed out in the meeting. And that was even at a full board meeting. This is just a committee meeting. So I don't really understand why we wouldn't vote on 8 and 9. Like I said, I can kind of get 7 a little bit because there's a whole, you've got A through J, and we didn't get through all of those. But maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe everybody else is okay with postponing this. I don't know.
So, hang on. Kevin, are you following along here?
Your mic on?
So I understand the arguments back and forth. They're not necessarily legal questions. This has been posted to the agenda. I believe these are more process-based issues as I'm listening to Mr. Pelkey. And so that would be an argument for him. There's not a legal issue necessarily with the postings.
Yeah, if you guys don't want to vote on it, we don't have to vote on it, I guess.
The only thing I will say is as looking at this, I agree, there is some question, especially to 8 and 9. And what would that be? Would it be a resolution of the board to adopt these names? Would it be a resolution to, how is this final
They're
presentation?
both listed as recommendations
Correct. The recommendation though being,
of the committee.
Correct.
And that's the whole purpose, as we've had explained to us ad nauseum, of an ad hoc committee is to make a recommendation. And then once they've made their recommendation, that committee can then be dissolved. If we don't make a recommendation, we can't dissolve those committees.
I think the question, at least that I'm understanding from Mr. Pelkey, is what, other than making the recommendation, is there anything other? Is there a resolution seeking to name?
Well, wouldn't that be brought together for the full board meeting, the resolution, if there was one that was needed?
Sure, it would, but I guess the question is, how do we get there? Is the chair going to put something together? I think there's a lot of process questions.
Well, I just think we could save space like we normally do. In the past, when we've had quote unquote the assignment committee, we would save space for, well, actually at the second meeting, we would save space for land use cases that hadn't been completed or heard yet. I mean, we've always saved space for things as long as we can meet the deadline. Again, I'm not trying to make a big deal out of this. I'm just trying to get us moving along.
I'm kind of taking this all in, legally, and then, with our chief of staff's process and that. I have no issue with the recommendation being presented today for number 8 and 9. And then we can discuss later on whether we want a resolution or not. So Dan, go ahead.
So I also have no problem with it, but we haven't presented the statement yet. It hasn't been processed. I asked for it this morning. They've had some problems with the program that they use to put all this stuff together. So I had nothing to present as official. So that's why it got delayed. There is going to be no meeting. I don't know if the actual legal existence of an ad hoc committee is what you object to, but there are no more meetings. It's just that they weren't able to process the statement for it to be presented today. So just wait till next time and do it then. I mean, it's not as if the statement that was made has any recommendation in it anyway, other than do a good job. So it literally has no impact.
Member Freeman?
Okay. Is it possible to get the resolutions or recommendations in a timely manner before next week's meeting? To save space on the agenda.
Yeah.
So that we can move on. With ordinance, we did approve two sections. To have us even remember those for 2 months, a month and a half, that's a big ask. Because it's a lot. And I've read them so many times. I've almost got some of them memorized. But, the committees did do what they were supposed to, and they do have things to move forward. So I'm like, legally, can we save a spot for the full board agenda and get these things on there?
If you're asking me, I don't know. Kevin?
Sure, and that was a follow-up from Member Trainier's statements. Sure, we could hold a spot, and that would be perfectly fine. I think like I said, what I was gathering from Mr. Pelkey's comments is he wasn't sure what the will of the board was. There wasn't anything drafted, but that is a vehicle that could be done. I think it's just the way it is. There's a recommendation and there's a tally. We weren't sure, or they weren't sure what was next. So that is a vehicle that could be used.
Okay, so here's what we'll do. I'll look for a motion to save space for number 7, 8, and 9 on the full county board agenda.
Motion by Freeman,
Thank
save
you.
space for 7, 8,
Okay.
and 9.
Is there a second?
Mhm.
Can we get do you want a discussion?
Yeah.
Member Newquist?
Only because number 7, we'd have to remove the chapters that we haven't done. So that's all I'm saying is we haven't done all of those chapters, so we can't vote on them all.
My comment was going to be, Mr. Pelkey will get with Mr. Neer, Leader Williams, and Mr. Butler offline and find out how they want it to actually present it to the Will County Board.
So I need to reword.
We'll do the cleanup.
Do I need to reword?
No.
Okay.
I do think number 7, though, is not listed. I think you did Title 1 and Chapter 30 in the ad hoc ordinance. And as Member Trenier has noted, those are not listed today on the agenda for today. I don't know if that can move through to the county board or not.
We can move it forward. Obviously, we'll need to amend how it's listed so that there is proper notice, but that can be done administratively.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't need to amend my motion. Okay.
Comments on the motion, Leader Williams?
I just want to make sure that I don't need to read the results of the survey. That would be my recommendation. So do I need to do that or no?
Here, no.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it at the full county board
Okay,
if this motion passes a safe space.
okay.
Any other discussion? Trenier, Mrs. Trenier?
Will you put those items under the executive committee's agenda or under each of the ad hoc committees on the full board?
We can do it under the ad hoc. The chairs can present.
I would assume since we didn't pass anything here.
Yes. Okay, we're going to keep beating on this?
Nope, I just want to thank you for that recommendation, Micah, because honestly, I like the idea that this recommendation can be made to the whole county board so that it gets its proper attention. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Was there a previous roll? Previous? Second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 10. Yep.
Yes, we did.
We had two, okay, let's just do a roll. Clean it up.
Richmond. Butler. Dean Schlattman. Freeman. Hickey. Logan.
Yes.
Newquist. Yes. Ortiz. Yes. Pretzel.
Yes.
Grenier.
Yes.
Williams. Yes. Van Den.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Number 10, amending the Will County CPACE Ordinance, Section 3.
Motion.
Motion? Second, discussion?
Yes.
Ms.
Uh,
Neer?
Thank you, Chair Van Dyne. Just kind of curious why this didn't go through the ordinance committee. I'm guessing the state's attorney can answer? This is an ordinance.
No, I don't know why it wouldn't have gone. It's not part of the cleanup that, generally, it may have come past the
But
ordinance.
it is
Yeah.
cleanup. I mean,
Yeah.
there's red and strikeouts and
I couldn't tell you why it went this way. It may have gone, the only thing I could guess is it started going once they were all well into the ordinance. This is a pretty, the date on the memo is just a couple days ago, so, or a couple weeks ago. So I don't know if it was the efficient way of doing it. I'm not aware.
sorry, don't mean to laugh. It just, that implies that the ad hoc ordinance committee is not efficient. And had it been brought to us, I'm sure we could have passed it on Tuesday. But that's okay. I just was curious.
Okay. Is there a previous roll? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Question, I had that Micah, Pat, like you were the first, who was second on that? Oh, you were the first? I'm sorry, Jackie. You guys could use your names, that would help. And so Jackie Trenier, and then who was seconded on that?
Micah Freeman.
Oh, okay. I knew I heard you. Thank you very much.
All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Number 11, declaring various equipment surplus and authorizing disposal. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, no other new business. There's not a request for state's attorney's opinion at this time. Committee reports. Chair Trenier? Anything to add?
Thank you. Everything was passed unanimously, so I suspect that everything will be put on a consent agenda. If there is a board member that wants something on the Public Works Committee removed from the consent agenda, please let us know now. Thank you. Or before the board meeting.
Thank you. Capital improvements, Chair Freeman?
Thank you. We had no resolutions to bring forward. There has been a couple issues with the courthouse, but it is all scaffold and they're searching for answers. More to come on that. Other than that, was a very nice meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance Chair Newquist.
Everything passed committee unanimously, I believe, and nothing new to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Ortiz, Legislative.
Thank you. We have nothing to bring forward this month, so I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Chair Butler, Public Health and Safety.
We also have nothing to move forward. I just would like to say that we did do a tour with the health department. It was very informative. I think everybody got to meet all the players and you could see how passionate they were, and it helps to see how these people, you know, fit in with our big machine here, we call the Will County government.
Thank you. Chair Pretzel, Land Use and Development.
I'm happy to report that everything on the agenda was approved 7-0 in committee. So I expect it to be a nice, quick portion of the meeting next week and kind of the calm before the storm. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe Chair Dean Schlattman had just removed herself for landfill. Does anyone want to mention anything? I believe it was just informative. Yeah.
Yeah, we received a lot of information, which was very helpful to me as a new member about the status of the landfill, and we had some healthy discussion about the RNG as well.
Okay, thank you. Executive, I would just like to say, we just went through executive, but I think we're kind of out of sorts here. The minute tracks has been very difficult as of late, and Granicus, I believe, has been purchased, and I know Chair Ogala had gotten that program started, and Mr. Pelkey and staff are eagerly awaiting to implement the new system so it could be more user friendly, and hopefully we won't run into any more snags.
We're meeting tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, for the first time to revive some of the conversations about getting the training going on the new system. So we're hoping to be up and running within the next couple of months or so.
All right. Also under executive, I think I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our new office manager, Jackie Rogers, to my left. Welcome. I think this is, well, she started on Tuesday, and then we were nice enough to give her the day off on Wednesday. So this is actually her second day, and she still showed up. So thank you for that. Appointments by the county executive. Now, I know we had an issue. They did make it on the agenda. It seems to me.
They are all on the agenda right now. I think initially there was one heading under the Joliet Arsenal Development Authority. The agenda, however, was amended, and initially all of the packets were included on that initial posting of that. So we should be able to move forward on all of these.
Okay. Do we need a motion to approve all of these, Kevin? Okay. Can I motion to all of them? Is there a motion to move all of them to the full county board? Thank you. Second, Newquist, Ms. Ogala?
Thank you. So this is now the second time that we have not gotten the full list of the appointments from the executive's office. We would always get them at the very end of the month, at the very beginning of the month, for the whole time that I've been on this board, which I'm in my 13th year. We're not getting this information until before the executive committee, which is now like the second, because it's the second Thursday. We should be getting that email from the executive with all the information provided that the individuals pass out. We should get that information. It would not be attached to our agenda because it has private information on it. But we as a county board have a right to see the information as the people who wish to be appointed to these positions have provided. And we're not given that information.
When are you not getting the information?
We're not getting it at all. If you look at your agenda, the only thing you have is the information that comes from the executive's office. You do not have the information that the individual themselves filled out. If you're going to be appointed, if you want to be appointed to a position, if you go back and look at our appointment information from December, you'll see it all. You don't see it anymore. You didn't see it last month. You're not seeing it this month. The information that the individual who applied, so Frankie applied to be one of these positions here. You should see that Frankie Pretzel applied, you see his information, you see his references, you see his experience, that information. That is not attached to the agenda. We only have basic information that comes from the executive's office. As a board, we have the right to see this information, and it's not being provided to
Do you
us.
want it on the agenda?
No,
or-
it would not be on the agenda. It
You
comes
just
to us
want
in an
an email.
email.
Okay, I'll make that request.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Chair Van Dyne, if I may.
sure.
I do believe that our chief of staff did send out an email at 9:36 this morning with the attachments and an apology that they did have a small delay in relaying this message to us.
So Joe, I did talk with Chuck about that, and he did mention that. Hey, I get it. You guys are new, getting the thing done. That's not the problem. The executive's office is not providing it to Chuck at the beginning of the month, as they should. And if they had done that, he could have taken a week to get to it because he was busy. That would be okay, but we would have had it long before he receiving it on Friday. That's the problem.
Well, that, I understand, and as the chair, I will make that request. Any other comments, Mr. Butler?
Yeah, and I just want to make clear what Judy's talking about is the applications that the people fill out. So when you look at that name, you actually know the background, where they're coming from, why they wanted to participate, that sort of thing. The same information that the executive gets when she makes her recommendation.
Understand. Ally, did you have a comment?
I have nothing. I'm just
Oh.
listening and
Oh,
taking
okay.
some notes so
Okay.
that way I can go back
Okay,
and talk to
all
the
right, great.
executive as well.
Okay, is there a previous roll on that motion? Did you get one or no? Does anyone want to make a? Thank you. Previous by Frankie. Second, Williams. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none? No announcements or reports by chair. No need for executive session. Looking for a motion to approve the county board agenda as amended. Motion seconded. Previous Newquist, second Trinier. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion will carry. Next scheduled meeting is March 13th, 2025. Motion to adjourn. Motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.